It was 6:52 a.m. on a crisp Thursday in April 2024 when a bulldozer roared through my carefully tended garden path in the quiet suburban enclave of Willow Lane, Maplewood, Oregon. Not a metaphor, not a bad dream, but a real, hulking yellow machine, piloted by a guy in a fluorescent vest who looked as stunned as I felt. I stood on my back porch, coffee mug in hand, watching my hand-laid cobblestone path years of sweat, calluses, and love get churned into rubble like it was nothing. The driver raised his hands, mouthing what seemed like, "I'm just following orders," before a woman emerged from behind the beast. Miranda Walsh, arms folded, lips curled into a smug grin, like she'd just checkmated me in a game I didn't know we were playing. Let me set the scene. Willow Lane is one of those neighborhoods where the rules keep the grass trimmed and the mailboxes uniform, but not so tight you can't breathe. Or so I thought. Miranda had clawed her way to the top of the homeowners association, her sister Laura as her loyal second-in-command, turning our little community board into their personal fiefdom. Most folks had either moved away or quit the board after Miranda's last crusade over approved fence paint shades. That left her unchecked, wielding her gavel like a scepter. The strip of land behind my house, an easement technically owned by the HOA but untouched for years, was my pride and joy. I'd transformed it into a winding path of native wildflowers, shaded by a cedar trellis draped with solar-powered fairy lights. It connected my yard to the town's greenbelt trails, a quiet haven for evening walks. Until Miranda decided it was hers to destroy. When I demanded to know why she was demolishing my work, she waved a crumpled permit and snapped, "Fire hazard clearance." "Board approved." I pressed. "Approved by who?" "You and Laura." Her smirk widened. "Exactly." She claimed the easement was being widened for a community access road. There was no road, just my path, now a pile of dirt in a dump truck. I didn't yell. I didn't curse. I went inside, dumped my cold coffee, and opened my laptop. If Miranda wanted a war, I'd fight her with something sharper than rage: paperwork. By dawn the next day, I'd dug through the county land registry and the HOA bylaws. Two discoveries lit a fire in me. First, Miranda's bulldozing violated local Ordonance-Cessno County approval, no public notice. Second, my property bordered a forgotten public utility right-of-way, a decommissioned road from the 1950s, still legally active. I didn't believe in luck. I believed in leverage. For a week, I let Miranda think she'd won. She'd wave from her deck, gloating as she snapped selfies by her new fire lane. I smiled back, even tossed her a thumbs up once, all while quietly meeting with the county's transportation office. I pitched a project: revive the old road as a public trail for emergency access and community walks. I included photos of Miranda's destruction, noting her unpermitted removal of protected native plants. The county took notice. 3 days later, a clipboard-wielding inspector showed up on Miranda's lawn. She thought he was there to praise her. He was there to document her violations. Miranda's face was a storm cloud as she argued, gesturing wildly, even calling Laura, who stormed out in a bathrobe like she was ready to wrestle the law itself. But the county wasn't playing. They issued a stop order on all easement modifications, citing liability. Miranda marched to my door, waving the order like a battle flag. "You think you're smart?" she hissed. I pointed to the fine print and said, "I think I can wait." And I could, because the county's review uncovered something better than a win: opportunity. That old road wasn't just a line on a map, it had zoning potential. With enough signatures, it could be reactivated as a public trail, cutting right through Miranda's prized side yard, home to her koi pond and wine-tasting pergola. I didn't rush. I collected petitions, enlisted a local historian to highlight the road's heritage, and partnered with a nonprofit pushing green corridors. When the proposal hit, the local paper headlined "Historic Trail to Reconnect Maplewood." Miranda unraveled. At the county hearing, she stormed in, pearls gleaming, ranting about privacy and property values. Then the projector flashed photos of her bulldozer tearing through my garden. The room went silent. She glared at me. I waved back. Outside, she cornered me. "You're ruining my life," she spat. I sipped my coffee and said, "No, I just want a path. Like you did. Mine just goes somewhere." She froze, realizing she'd been outmaneuvered. The county approved the project, pending easement confirmation. Miranda's mailbox drowned in letters, some for, some against, but all dragging her into a bureaucratic nightmare. Her HOA grip slipped as neighbors, fed up with her tyranny, turned away. I wasn't even on the board. I was just a guy who'd once planted daisies and now held blueprints for a trail through her lawn. Miranda didn't surrender quietly. She stuffed every mailbox with flyers titled, "Say No to Public Invasion," accusing me of turning Willow Lane into a transient highway. She chased joggers off sidewalks, banged her gavel at HOA meetings, but the room stayed silent. Even Laura bailed early, her loyalty cracking. The county's next move was a field inspection, requiring access to Miranda's property. She called the sheriff, claiming trespass. The deputy, unimpressed, warned her about obstructing municipal work. I watched, sipping coffee, as she turned crimson. My research uncovered her koi pond was built illegally over the old roadbed. I sent drone photos to the county, asking if her unpermitted structures might complicate access. They responded with a compliance notice. Miranda's rage hit fever pitch. She stormed my porch, jabbing a finger at me. "You're obsessed with destroying me." I leaned against the doorframe. "You destroyed my path. The county's fixing a road. I'm just watching." Her next move was a lawsuit against the county, the HOA, and me, claiming emotional distress and harassment. The county dismissed it outright. I hired a lawyer, weary but resolute. At mediation, I slid her a settlement. I'd drop any defamation claims if she publicly withdrew and stopped interfering. She blinked, stunned by the simplicity. "That's it?" she asked. I nodded. "Just stop." She signed, her hand shaking. Her grudging statement in the HOA newsletter was cold, but it ended the fight. The trail was built paved, lit with solar lamps, lined with benches. The county wanted to name it the Elliott Trail after me. I let the rumor spread, watching Miranda see the survey markers sprouted on her lawn. Then came her final act, vandalism. At 2:13 a.m., my trail camera caught her in a hoodie, prying bolts from a signpost and dousing it with oil. I reported it. The county replaced the sign bigger, shinier, with an official seal. A legal warning followed, one step from charges. Miranda's empire was crumbling. She tried one last stand, a town hall, to rally against the trail's expansion behind her house. But the crowd turned. An elderly neighbor, Agnes, stood up and asked, "Why'd you destroy his garden if you cared about beauty?" Miranda had no answer. The room clapped for Agnes. Miranda walked out. Days later, she stood on the trail, staring at the horizon. "It's not mine anymore, is it?" she said. I replied, "It never was." She gave a bitter chuckle. "That's worse." A week later, her house was for sale. She and Laura moved out quietly, leaving behind a dry koi pond and a new family who planted wildflowers where her gazebo once stood. The Elliott Trail became a sensation. Joggers, artists, and yoga groups flocked to it. It landed on tourism maps, hailed as a model of community restoration. I sat on a new bench one evening, watching kids race scooters and neighbors stroll. The fight had started with destruction. Miranda's bulldozer threw my flowers, but it ended with something bigger. A path not just for me, but for everyone. And yeah, I'll admit it, I missed the fight a little. Miranda was a storm, but she made me sharper, forced me to choose purpose over pride. She tried to cage the world. I set it free. What do you think? Was I too ruthless, using bureaucracy to outmaneuver Miranda? Or was she the architect of her own downfall? Should a neighborhood belong to one person's vision or to everyone? Drop your thoughts below, hit that like button if you felt the drama, and subscribe for more stories where the underdog flips the script.